finally here, my It review. Man, have you guys been blowing up my social media and the comments on my past videos about this review, but it is finally here. So, fun fact about me, I actually don't really like the original It. Don't kill me, but I love Stephen King. He's my idol, like my number one idol of all time ever in my life and will always be. However, It has never been the original It, that is, the mini-series, I guess, has never been my favorite because it wasn't scary to me. It wasn't scary. The storyline was good. I liked that it took place in two different time eras. So I didn't really go into this expecting to like it that much. Like, I knew I would probably like it, but not to the extent that I liked it. I actually saw this twice in theaters and debating seeing it a third time by myself just because it is that good, guys. It is probably, not to be dramatic, my favorite movie that came out this year. I've only seen one other film this year twice in theaters, and that was Get Out, which, again, one of my top films that came out this year in the horror genre, of course, because that's all, you know, I really care about. So absolutely, it was phenomenal. Like, amazing. The acting was great. The child acting, amazing. So this review might be kind of annoying because obviously I really like this movie. It set a lot of records for the theater release. It was the widest release in America, I think, in general, because it was over 4,000 theaters, and I believe it set the record for the highest grossing film ever in the US. Ever. So the major difference, I think, between this one and the original one is that the original one, where the children were, you know, the first part of it when they were children took place in the 50s, and this one when their children took place in the 80s. There are a lot of references to the novel and the original miniseries that aren't referenced in the actual new movie, if that makes sense. Like, there's a couple scenes where it zooms in on his bike and it says Silver. That's never explained in the present movie, but it is in the novel. And then the beep beep Richie that Pennywise says is in the novel and the original miniseries, but not explained in the new movie. I thought Bill Skarsgård was a great cast for Pennywise because he can do weird things with his eyes without CG, so that's kind of creepy and makes it more unsettling. My thing is, he didn't want to reference any part of Tim Curry in his performance of Pennywise. He didn't watch Tim Curry's performance and take notes and like do that because he said he could not perform it as Tim Curry or inspired by Tim Curry as well as obviously Tim Curry could. Which Tim Curry is an amazing actor, amazing Pennywise, and nothing can ever replace that. So I understand where Bill Skarsgård is coming from, not wanting to compete with that. But he did watch movies like The Shining to get inspiration. He did a lot of research on psychopaths and, you know, that kind of stuff to get a better understanding about the character, even though he had claimed that he's not a psychopath, but he wanted to kind of represent that character a little bit like one. You could definitely tell the inspiration from The Shining when you watch it. I mean, his performance was great, don't get me wrong. I did feel like it was a little bit Joker-y in The Dark Knight. I don't know if anyone else got that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just wasn't what I was expecting, but I still thought it was really good, and his performance was amazing, and Pennywise was definitely more horrifying in this one than in the original. I think a lot of that comes down to the recency and technology and just the quality of filmmaking nowadays. I think that's why a lot of older films aren't scary to especially people in my generation. That's one of the reasons why the original is not one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, just because it's not scary. This one is legitimately horrifying. There is not just clowns in this one, okay? There are things in this that are so scary that I was terrified. Clowns don't scare me, so I was like, that's not gonna scare me. Although there was a scene where Bill Skarsgård is dancing. That scene is so disturbing for some reason. The camera is focused, like, it follows his head and not anything else, so like the rest of the room is moving but his head isn't, and it's really creepy. I really like that scene. It's probably my favorite scene out of the whole film, is when he's dancing when they're in the the well. So obviously this movie was renewed for a sequel. I don't know if you guys heard that yet. They did announce, I believe today, that there will be a sequel in September of 2019. I was thinking that possibly they would wait 27 years so they could keep the same actors and do that, but I'm kind of glad that they're not going that route because the hype would die. The actors may not even renew for that. There was also rumors that the original child actors from the original miniseries would come back to play the adult version in the sequel. However, the actor who played Bill, as we know, died when he was 27, and so they'd have to recast him. So Bill Skarsgård also said that he would come back to play Pennywise, so that's confirmed. And then as far as recasting, or not recasting, but casting for the older characters, I think Jessica Chastain is a real good pick for Beverly. That's who Beverly, the actress, said she would want to play her as an adult, and I think that would be a really good choice. Some people are saying Amy Adams, I think, but Jessica Chastain, man, that one. So one of my favorite parts about this movie is that it didn't just have, I mean, it had so many more layers to the horror elements than just Pennywise. And obviously that's still true. Like, there are other fears and whatnot, and I like that Pennywise, I mean, this is, you know, in the book as well, but Pennywise basically will transform into whatever your fear is as a child, and he feeds on children's fear. So he will turn into that to make you afraid enough for him to eat you and get his energy or whatnot. And he only comes about every 27 years, which, you know, we all know that this movie came out exactly 27 years after the miniseries did in 1990. I thought the scares and the fears of the children in this were the best part of the movie, I think, because they are very just horrifying, and they're all over the board. Like, there's a lot of different aspects to their characters, and they're just so good. They're just so good. There is, I do want to give a trigger warning for this movie for sexual assault, because there is a scene with Beverly, and you know, that can be, I think, triggering. Nothing happens, but it is, from what I've heard from other people, an intense scene for them, and it can be triggering for you. So just bear that in mind, that it is in the film. I actually liked the comedy of this. I normally don't like comedy at all, pretty much, in horror films. I think Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is like one of the exceptions for a black comedy that I really like. I thought the humor was done really well, so it was genuinely funny at times. What, did I laugh every time? No. But yeah. Oh, I need to get into another thing that I had a problem with this movie, okay? If this had like 5 less jump scares, it would have been perfect. It's not perfect. It gets like a 9 out of 10 for me because of the jump scares. I don't like it. Why? Why do we have to do that every... No. I thought they were really unnecessary. Some of them I could forgive because a lot of the jump scares, there was follow through of something actually horrifying, so it maintained your fear, I guess, from your startled response. It turned into fear, so it makes you think that you're scared, like you are afraid. I don't know. You guys know my stance on jump scares, though. I don't like them. So if it was a little less of that, this film would have been so much better, in my opinion. Obviously, like I said, it's one of my favorite films I have seen this year. Probably could go into my top 10 movies of all time, because I just enjoyed it that much. The pace of it was really great. It is over 2 hours, which is a long movie, but I think I loved every single minute of it. It didn't feel too long. It was just great. The storyline, amazing. And more importantly, the scares were perfection. Obviously, if you guys know my love of The Ring, Mama, movies like that, you probably know which scare is my favorite out of all of them. Favorite slash most horrifying. Obviously, it's not as horrifying the second time I saw it, but the first time I was actually genuinely really scared. So please leave your opinions about it down below. I'm sorry this was like kind of all over the place and not really a review. I didn't do it for so long, as I said before, because lazy, but also I didn't know what else to say about it other than I really liked it. But there you go, there's my thoughts on it. Obviously, I'm obsessed with this movie, so, you know, there's some faults there, but with any film there's going to be. But let me know your opinions about it down below, what you think, like it, didn't like it, down below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.